Smoke break by wherever_girl. Summary. Even when you're trapped inside a creepy house in the dead of night, there's always reason to have a cigarette. At least that's Pugsy's reasoning anyway. Notes based off fan art by KarmicIllusion on DeviantArt. Credit to picture goes to that user, as well as special thanks for giving me inspiration for this short story, as well as permission to include their work. It's been 45 minutes, I think. Maybe an hour. Geez, how late is it anyway? That's all that went through the teenager's head as he walked through the dark corridors of the house. Leo Pugsy Braverman wasn't too shaken up at the fact that he was exploring an old abandoned Victorian-style house in the middle of nowhere. He'd been doing reckless shit like this since he was 15. It was pretty much how he spent his Saturday nights. Better than having to rely on Penthouse to beat the boredom, at least. Right now, though, he could really go for a cigarette. He looked at his watch again. They had entered the house about 10 o'clock, and he had smoked a few minutes beforehand. It was getting close to 11. Then came a howl, just a couple of feet from where he stood. He only sighed. While he was busy counting the minutes, his search companion, Sherman Fangsworth, had looked out the window at a full moon and was now sprouting fur and fangs. Well, at least one fang. Fuck! Not this shit again! Pugsy thought as the werewolf, Fangface, grabbed him and started shaking him around. If anyone went through it the first few times, they would be pissing themselves at the mere thought of being manhandled by the beast. For Pugsy, damn, he lost count after 50. It was more of an annoyance, considering out of the whole group, the werewolf would attack him with each transformation. Every frickin' time. Knock it off, dumbass! Pugsy sneered, prying himself out of the werewolf's grip. We're friends, remember? Since when the friends call each other dumbass? Fangface retorted, showing that he was becoming less of a goof wolf and more of a smartass each day. The shorter teen rolled his eyes. I told you, that's how guys interact. Swapping insults is a way of establishing a friendship. The werewolf smirked. Whatever you say, douchebag. Pugsy shook his head. In the past, the two had never called each other such crude nicknames, but lately, with the stress of college classes, job searches, and the lack of dates, the stress caused them to exchange vulgar insults. Well, he did at least. Fangface just rolled with the punches. So, what are we doing this time? His lycanthropic friend asked. The shorter teen rubbed his face. We gotta find a book, he replied, trying to remember the details of their investigation. He'd been doing this for so long that he could easily lose interest in their exploration. Something about how to summon zombies or something. Oh, okay. The werewolf scratched his head, looking as if he forgot something. Of course he did. Pugsy knew he forgot himself. His friend suffered from a split identity disorder. Some things he could remember as a human, other things he could remember as a werewolf. They once tried to take him to a psychiatrist in order to help him learn about his two selves, but the doctor claimed it would only end up confusing him. In time, once he was more mature, Fangs and Fangface would gradually find out about each other and be able to comprehend. What a quack, Pugsy had thought. But try as they might, no one could convince their friend that he had two identities. Of course, as time went by, their friend seemed to be getting a little wiser about it, somewhat. Fangs wasn't the brightest kid in their class, and Fangface was no different. They came across a library. Dust-covered books sat on shelves decorated with cobwebs. A couple leather chairs with holes sat on the far side of the room by an overturned end table. A vase bearing a long withered plant sat in the corner, and a bust of William Shakespeare, missing a nose, sat near one of the windows. The book might be in here somewhere, you think? Fangface guessed, beginning to browse the shelves. Maybe, Pugsy muttered. Though he had his doubts, unless their current villain was a complete idiot, there was no way someone would be dumb enough to keep a spellbook in such an obvious location. A really dumb move, considering it would be the only thing that wasn't collecting dust. Fuck, he really needed a cigarette. He pretended to browse the shelves. Biff or Kim probably found it already and were on their way back to them, unless they got captured. Why they still considered them the leaders of the gang, he had no idea. Namely, it was him coming up with ideas once the twosome got caught. Biff only pitching in a plan once the group was gathered. Otherwise, it was up to him and Fangface to save the day. 95% of the time.
Nothing but old plays, fairy tales, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and biographies over here,
Fangface reported. Zilch over here, Pugsy replied. Not that he had to look hard. All these books had cracked spines and looked like they hadn't been opened since they were first published. He rubbed his face.
Come on, let's go find Biff and Kim.
Slam! Before either could take another step, the doors to the library slammed shut and... Pugsy didn't even have to guess, were locked from the outside. Go fucking figure.
Don't worry, Pugs, I'll get us out of here,
Fangface exclaimed, using that heroic tone that he loved to use. Have at it, Pugsy replied, leaning against the window, avoiding the walls and bookcase. Having enough experience to know that doing so while his friend wasn't looking always resulted in a hidden passage opening from behind and sending him God knows where. While the werewolf was using his big bad wolf huff and puff technique, he decided to do some puffing himself and took out a cigarette and lighter. 2 clicks and he was inhaling the bitter taste of the nixtick. He relaxed a bit, breathing out the smoke. It was 3 seconds before Fangface turned in his direction, catching the scent.
You know that's bad for you, he muttered. It damages your lungs.
Whatever, Pugsy replied. He started smoking when he was 13, despite his mother warned him it would stunt his growth. Considering he was 19 and still remained the shortest in the group, she was probably right. And he had yet to suffer any health problems. He was still athletic enough to try to outrun a werewolf during a chase. Fangface crossed his arms, giving him a look.
You know, you could help me out.
He pounded his fist on the door.
These doors are stuck tight.
So break 'em open with your strength. The short teen gave him a sly look. Or is the big bad werewolf growing soft? The werewolf snarled, his yellow eyes becoming aglow, and he charged his friend.
I'll show you, soft.
3, 2, 1. Pugsy stepped back, sticking his foot out and tripping Fangface. While the werewolf was sprawled out on the ground, the teen casually sat down on his back, continuing his smoke break.
Sit, stay, good boy,
he remarked, breathing in another puff.
Damn it, Pugs, get off me!
Fangface snarled. He had the mind to buck him off, but with the disgruntled look on his friend's face, the act would probably result in the ignited and the cigarette getting smothered into his hide.
We have to get out of here, you fuck-ass!
Yeah. The teen breathed out smoke, his eyes turning on a broken clock on the wall. He figured it would be 5 minutes before either they were saved by Biff and Kim, otherwise the couple were probably locked away somewhere themselves. The villain was probably somewhere boasting about his evil plans to summon a zombie army to cause mayhem or shit like that. Fangface shifted, resting on an elbow, while giving his friend a glare.
What's your problem tonight? You're acting like more of a dick than usual.
Walking around a dead house in the middle of the night isn't exactly what I'd call relaxation. Pugsy looked at his watch again. 20 after 11.
The werewolf sneered. Being used as a beanbag chair isn't relaxing either.
You're more like a throw rug. Blowing out one more puff, Pugsy dropped the cig stub on the ground, smothering it with his shoe as he slipped off the werewolf's back. Whoomp! Should have seen that coming, the teen thought as Fangface pounced on him, pinning him to the ground.
Not so nice to be treated like a cushion, is it?
The werewolf taunted, keeping his full weight on his friend. He rolled his eyes. All right, I'm sorry. Now get off me. Fangface only gave him a look, not even budging. There was a time when he would abide by his friend's orders after an apology. But as time went on, he grew to be stubborn.
Not until you promise me you'll stop smoking.
Pugsy sneered. I'm making no promises. The werewolf firmly settled his full weight on him.
Then I guess we'll be here a while.
The teen grunted, shifting to make sure his lungs weren't crushed. Fucking come on, Fangface, we have to get going. Biff and Kim probably got captivated again, and that weirdo is on the loose. His friend rolled his eyes.
This coming from the asshole who decided to take a smoke break during the investigation.
Pugsy groaned. Sure, the werewolf had a point, but damn it, when did Nitwolf turn into a smartass? Fine, I'll try to cut back on smoking. How's that? Fangface held up his paw.
Give me a pack, that way I can keep track for you.
No fucking what? He paused, seeing the werewolf giving him a firm expression. He sighed, reaching into his shirt pocket and handing over his pack. There were 2 cigarettes left. "All right, here." With a nod, Fangface tucked the cigarettes into his cap. "Big deal," the short teen thought as they both got up. "I can shake him off Fangs later." Using his werewolf strength, Fangface pried the doors off their hinges, and the two made their way around the house. Sure enough, Biff and Kim had been locked up in the attic, and the villain found the book and was off to the cemetery. As they drove there, Biff was talking about how they managed to find a way to reverse whatever spell that could raise the dead, and was already talking about how to capture the kook. Pugsley looked ahead, seeing that the villain got a head start, and there were zombies lurking around the front of the cemetery. Dark clouds full of lightning were swirling overhead, and their maniac was cackling like a madman. He looked at his watch. 5 minutes after midnight. "This is going to be a long night," the short teen thought, rubbing his face and preparing for the disaster ahead. And his friends wondered why he smoked 5 packs a day. So as always, I want to say a big thank you to Michael Fattori, Break System BSC, and all my other delightful Patreon supporters. I also want to thank Wherever Girl and KarmicIllusion for allowing me to use their story and art, respectively. And if you would like to know more about Fangface, please check out my other channel. Link is in the description, where I have posted the entire run of the show. I've also been putting up clips of it here and there on this channel that you've probably seen. It's a really fun show. I highly recommend it. It's very silly and very much a product of that post-Scooby-Doo cartoon teen mystery solving moment. But it's got some good jokes. It's got some cute stories. I like it. I think you might like it too.